Hello, I'm Nasira and I'm the energy architect. Today we have Sally Green. Sally, welcome.
It's so great to be here. Thank you, Nisara, for having me.
Thank you. It's an honor having you. So Sally is the Vice President of Author Development at Action Takers Publishing. She works with writers to help them develop their stories, write their books, and become best-selling authors. In addition to all of this, Sally is a 12 times #1 best-selling author. Sally, congratulations. How do you feel?
Thank you. It's been a journey. It's been a lot of work over the last 3 years to get here. But I'm loving every minute of it. I was, going through a really rough patch at one point, and so this being part of these books and sharing my story has been a godsend for me, and it's been something that's turned my life around. And I just love what I'm doing, and I love helping other people to get their stories out of their head onto paper and to share it with the world and get their message out there.
It's been a beautiful journey because I think every book that Action Takers Publishing has published has touched international bestseller.
Yeah, yeah, every single one. And together, Linda and I have published 22 books together, and she had 4 books before I joined. So um, our publishing business has published a total of 26 books in the last 4 or 5 years, but 22 in the last 3 years.
And how did this journey start actually?
Well, for me, I'll tell you, it was during COVID. It was in March of 2020. And I woke up one morning, and we had lost a major client. My husband and I have a small business, and because of COVID, they called and they didn't want us to come anymore. And so that was a big chunk of my income. And I woke up the next morning and I looked in the mirror and I realized, I was a mess. I was 40 pounds heavier than I am now. I was emotionally a mess. I was financially a mess, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And so at that time, my daughter was living with us. And so my husband, my daughter, and I said, you know what? I got to get out of my head. I got to do something. We went for a walk and we said, let's start eating healthier. Let's start, doing something. So we came home, we threw out all the junk food. My daughter and we made out a shopping list, and we looked up some recipes that we all 3 of us liked. And we started cooking, healthier and eating healthier. And I was like, you know what? I want to get my head on straight. So I shut the TV off because all the news was bad. And so I started going back into reading my self-help books. And I got on this self-help kick. I always loved reading and writing. I kept a journal for years. And so I'm going to start taking some online classes. So I started taking some marketing classes, and I was doing that at night and reading. And, we were eating healthier. We were going for walks. And I got into this group, and I was offered an opportunity to write a chapter in a collaboration book. And the collaboration book was called One Habit for Entrepreneurial Success. And I was like, well, I've had a small business for a number of years. I'm going to join this. I'll write a chapter. I've always wanted to write. And so I submitted my chapter, and this book became an international bestseller. It had 150 other authors in it. And all of these authors were highly successful business owners, coaches, actors and actresses. I mean, people, the guy from UGG Boots, who created the UGG boots, and all of these, famous people, and me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't belong here. I don't belong with any of these people. But I would get on these Zoom calls with them, and I fell in love with all of them. And I was like, you know what am I going to do? I got to leverage this, this book. And so I got the book and I opened it up one Saturday morning, and I went and I sent Facebook friends to every single 150 of the authors, all 150 of them. And I sent them a little Facebook message on the side and say, hey, we're in the same book together. what are you doing? What do you have going on? What do you do for a living? And started conversations with them. A couple of them would, I'd say, can we hop on a Zoom and I can, so I can, get to know you a little bit. Or we would have like these group Zooms, or we would do different things. And one of the people who was in that book was Linda. And so I had reached out to her and she said, oh, I'm doing a Saturday morning networking event on Zoom. If you want, it's free. If you want to hop on, we're every Saturday it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon here. So I was like, all right. So I started attending those networking events and meeting all the people that she knew, that, because these were all people that were in her world. And so I was like, what, I'd really like to become a coach, but I have no idea, maybe I can make some money, because everyone was saying, oh, I'm a coach, I'm a coach, I'm a coach. I'm like, I could be a coach. So I hired Linda, because I was like, Linda was doing this mastermind, and she was like, I can help you, if you want. So I got on a phone call with her. I hired her to help me build a coaching program. And so that was in January of 2021. I hired her to help me build a coaching program. We worked together for about 8 months. So I was building my coaching program out. She had these 2 books that she was creating, and she was looking for authors. So I signed up to be in her 2 books as I'm doing this. And so her and I would get on weekly, and we were building my coaching business. I was writing chapters. And one of the times we were talking, and we got to be really good friends just in that short, 8 or 9 months, we were on once a week. I said, you seem a little stressed. I said, you're putting these books together. I said, could you use a little help? I said, I'm really good at computers, and, I can, maybe talk to a few authors or whatever. So she was like, oh, I don't know. So she said, well, if you want to maybe do some graphics for me. So I went in, boom, boom, boom. I did a bunch of graphics, and I said, let me look at your website. Maybe I can help you do that. I went to her, she gave me the information, and I was like, can I go in and just play around with it? So I went in and I did it. She's like, wow, I really love what you did, So, we would get on the calls, and I would say, well, who are the authors? What do you have going on? And so, I got this woman, and she's, doesn't know what she's going to be writing about. Well, let me talk to her, So I would get on the phone and talk to them, and, so we launched the 2 books. The Fearless Entrepreneurs was one, and Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore. She launched them 8 days apart. They both became international bestsellers. Like I said, I was in the process. I was doing the program I had designed was called the Self-Care Rockstar. So because I had been on this self-care journey, and I was creating this program, and about 2 weeks after the book launched, she called me and she said, hey, I really love doing the publishing, and, we're really good at it together. Do you want to partner and be my business partner, and we'll do it as a business? And I was like, yes, let's go. So I stopped doing the coaching. She stopped doing her business coaching. And that was in September of 2021. So we had only worked together 9 months. We started building the business. We launched our first book together called Wellness for Winners in February of 2022. And since that time, we've launched 22 books since September of 22 until now it's, July of 2023. And we have, I don't know, probably 8 or 9 scheduled for the rest of this year.
That's actually quite a collaboration. And what a team you guys are.
Yeah. It's been fun. It's been exciting. It's different from anything I've ever done in my life. Working with Linda has been so much fun. We work, but we have the same kind of, fun, quirky personalities. And we kind of, she's very organized. She's got that whole organization thing. She was a legal secretary for a number of years. So she's really good at creating the systems and the stuff and the back end, where I'm more creative, I think, and talking to the authors and telling their stories and from that whole creative standpoint. So we work really well together.
Yeah, I think like you complete her and she completes you in a way.
And it's funny because I said, yeah,
you were telling me.
Yeah, no, we've said that, we each came into each other's lives exactly when we needed her, and I needed her just as much as she needed me. because she was at the point where she couldn't do the publishing without having somebody more creative. And I was at the point in my life where I needed an outlet for my creativity. And this kind of it just happened.
I love the way you describe it as fun, because I've watched you all work, and I have seen how hard you all work. Y'all are working non-stop. I have seen that myself, because every 5 days, or sometimes you have a gap of maybe 2 days, and another book is releasing and another book is releasing. And you have a lot of seminars and workshops and masterclasses. And I don't know how you keep pace with so much that's happening in the first place. That's one. Second is, over all of that, you call it fun, because you're genuinely having fun.
Yeah, I am. And it's been, like I said, I think because I'm just enjoying it so much. And I've we and I've talked with Linda about this, about finding, how you find your purpose. And I think our purpose kind of evolves over our lifetime. So my purpose right now is to be in the publishing sphere, is to work with these authors, is to get their stories told. Where 9-10 years ago my purpose was something different, and I'm sure 10 years from now it'll be so totally something different. But I think as your life unfolds, the wherever it is that you are meant to be, and wherever it is that you are, if once your purpose shows up,
Yeah.
it's time to go for it. It's time to go. And I think a lot of times we step back and we don't want to, we're afraid to go after our purpose, or we don't know how to go after our purpose, or people are telling us we should. I mean, I had, from the beginning, I had people telling me, when I somebody that I know, I told her that I wanted to be a coach, and she's like, who's going to listen to you? And I was like, okay, and I came home and I was so angry, and I said to my husband, he said, just go out there and show her then. He said, just go do it. I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to use that as fuel. I'm going to use that as, watch me, type thing. So, it's, or do you let people's snide remarks and what things people say to you, or affect you and negatively, say, oh, well, then maybe that isn't my purpose, or maybe that isn't where I'm supposed to go. But no, it's deciding, what's in your heart and what you want to go after, and saying, the heck with what they say. This is what I'm feeling. I'm going to do it. So, and then that's hard to do. It's hard to do, especially if it's your friend, or if it's a family member, it's somebody that you look up to, that are, or somebody that, maybe not look up to you, but maybe you're looking up to, and you shouldn't be looking up to them. It's stepping away from the negative and the toxic people in your life, and finding positive, uplifting. And that's what I did when I reached out to those 150 authors, because all of those people were successful in business and had built, $1 million businesses and stuff. And they were, just so giving with their advice, and so giving with their way, that there were these people that were willing to share their stories and stuff with me.
Because when you are truly successful, you also want to share that with people, because I think it is the givers who really shine out more than anyone else. It really it does not that is why I think even y'all are great at collaborations, and I am so glad that you believed in yourself, and you did not second guess yourself, and you just went for it.
Oh, I second guessed myself a lot. I mean, there are a lot of times that, I sat here and said, what am I doing? And, even like when I remember when I was doing the coaching program, and I said, I'm going to start interviewing people and doing these interviews. And I did my first one, and I was just like, oh my God, I was so bad. And I went in and I deleted my whole website. I deleted all the stuff, and I started writing to the 2 or 3 people that I had scheduled, that I was going to cancel the show and I wasn't going to do it anymore.
Mm.
And I was just so, because I was like, this is just so bad. And I said, I'll do it in the morning, because this was at night. And I was just like, and I woke up in the morning, and that was when Linda was coaching me. And I reached out to Linda, and she's like, no, you're going to do it. Get back in there. And I was like, all right, so I had I recreated my whole website, and I didn't send the emails. But that's the thing. There are times that we do doubt ourselves, and we think that maybe we're not good enough, maybe we don't belong where we are. We think everyone else has it all together, but then when you meet these people, you find out they're just as wacky as you are. So it's okay to be there. It's okay to have self-doubt, but just don't quit. Keep being persistent and keep going after it. That's the thing I would have to tell anybody.
Um, the one thing that I have seen about both you and Linda is that even though y'all are really successful, and in spite of churning out all of these #1 international bestsellers, y'all are still so grounded, and y'all are so approachable, and it is easy to talk to y'all. And I think I should tell you today that I am so grateful for the fact that I was one of those people who was second guessing myself when I committed to writing in the collaborative book. But I think conversations with you and Linda have helped me. And y'all did not need to do that, but y'all did. And y'all actually do inspire people every day to just come out of their comfort zone a little bit. And I think y'all teach people, one is how to be brave, because what is being brave? You have fear, but in spite of fear, you still do it. And that is what you get people to do. In spite of their fear, you still motivate them to do it. The second
Right.
thing is, the second thing is that writing has been such a large part of the healing process. And in a way, a lot of healing happens through writing. And how many women you have inspired to overcome that pain? Or it's like a small, I wouldn't say it's a small therapy, but it is therapy in a way, because I know how many times I destroyed my chapter before I finally put it out. But
Yeah,
when
I know.
everything changed after that, and I realized that that was a large part of my healing. And you guys get to do this every day. How does that feel?
I love working with the authors, especially the first time authors, and the ones that have stories that um, that they're afraid to tell, because that's where I was, and it's telling them, okay, you know what, write it all down, and if you don't like it, then rip it up, throw it away, and start all over again. But at least get it outside of you, get it out of you. There's something healing about going through your arm into your pen onto the paper, and getting your story out there, getting outside of you and onto a piece of paper. If you want to crumble the people up, burn it, throw it away, whatever, and then start all over again. But that
Yeah.
process is just so healing. I wrote a chapter, the book that we it's coming out in August, is called Never Give Up. And I sat down to write my chapter, and at first I was like, what am I going to write about? And I got the idea, and my mom has Alzheimer's. She was diagnosed in 2019, and she's been gradually getting worse and worse. So I said, well, I'm going to write about dealing with my mom in the Alzheimer's. And so I sat down to write it, and I just wasn't prepared for the emotions that came up, because I thought I've been handling this great, and I've been, working with my dad and going over there 2 or 3 times a week, and helping him with her, and doing all this stuff. And, okay, I got this, I'm strong, whatever. And then, I sat down, and as the words came off the pen and onto the paper, like the emotions, I mean, I ugly cried because,
I did too. I did too. I did that
and
as well.
and so it's like, because, and then I was like, all right, I did it almost like a diary, and what I would have said to my mom had she not been sick. And so it was just that loss, that,
Yeah.
what, because she was my best friend, and now she doesn't know who I am. And so it's facing that. And I thought I had it under control, but then I realized that I just don't. And so it was healing. It was, there was something about, doing that whole process was just such a release. And I just feel so much lighter and so much better because of that. And so that's something that I share with the writers. You know what? Get it out of you. You'll feel so much better. It'll all be okay. If there's something, and after you write it, if there's something you don't want to say, you just cross it off. It's so yeah, that's what I'd say.
How do you feel? You've come such a long way, from second guessing yourself to, and
Yeah,
then
I
you
mean,
you
just
act-
these 3 years, so from that March of 2020 until now, has been a total change in me. I don't even know who that person is anymore, and I don't want to, because she was in a bad place. But the person that I've become just over these last 3 years, because I decided to pour into me, because I decided that I was going to do some self-care, that I was going to fill myself up first before I did anything for anybody else.
Mm.
Um, and that was one of the things that I learned, like right at the beginning. I was listening to Les Brown. He's a motivational speaker, and he said, you have to keep your cup filled to overflowing, constantly give to yourself to the point of overflow, and only give to other people from that overflow. Constantly keep your cup filled. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been doing it wrong all these years, because I would, I was the one who took care of everybody. I'm the oldest in my family, so I had all younger brothers, and so I was the one who took care of the brothers, and I was taking care of my parents. I was taking care of my husband, my kids, and so I would give and give and give and give and give until my cup was empty, until I was exhausted. And then I would just give enough to maybe, to myself, because I thought that taking care of myself was selfish, and I would just do enough to where I felt good, and then the same thing. And I was like, giving to myself to the point of overflow, that was like a foreign concept to me. But as I started doing it, and as I started writing more and reading more, and doing things that I enjoyed, taking a nap in the afternoon, and doing all these things for me, the world started opening up, opportunities started showing up, things started happening. And it wasn't until I put myself first and I started doing things for me that all that stuff happened. So yeah, so that's my story.
I'm really resonating with this right now because this is what Energy Architect is actually all about. The Energy Architect podcast is all about telling people that there are lots of options and to not get stuck. Had you
Yeah.
believed all of that stuff that somebody told you, when before you started, that who's going to listen to you? And if you had just remained over there, then you wouldn't have come this far. So that is what we try to do. We try to get people to see that there is so much that somebody can do and nobody needs to get stuck. And Energy Architect actually gives them the tools, and we try to bring inspiring stories such as yours to people so that they understand that these are things that happen to a lot of people, but they do not believe that that is what is supposed to be for them, to go beyond. Because a lot of people, who undergo trauma and mind blocks, they tend to think that they can't do anything more. And they just resign to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's changing your mindset. It's changing your, it's doing things outside of your comfort zone. It's doing things that scare you. Um, and I think, a lot of times that paralyzes people where they don't take chances. They don't take risks. They don't, I lived my whole life. And one of the books, I was talking to Linda because one of the books we're working on is called Bold Risks, Big Rewards. And I looking at my life and I'm like, besides these 3 years, I've never taken a risk. I've been, just and I call it like the hamster wheel. I was just like, every day was the same. And I would get up, go to work, come home, cook dinner, pay the bills, and the next day get up and do it again. And it was just, I was kind of in a daze living my life for years that way. And you get stuck in that that hamster wheel of life where every day's it's and you don't know how to get out of it. You don't know what to do differently. You don't know where to go. You don't know who to connect with. And so that's where the collaboration books opened up a whole world for me, because these were people that now I had something in common with, that I could reach out to, and they were successful, fun people to be around, and they were, it was something new and different for me, and it was, outside of my little bubble that I had created for myself. And so stepping outside and saying, wow, there's a whole world out here that I know nothing about.
Yeah.
Where have I been for 50 years? I've been in this little cocoon, and so now I'm like a kid in the candy store, like looking out and saying, oh my gosh, I want to be friends with everybody out here. So it's been an interesting growth for me. And it's, like you said, it's raising your energy, raising your frequency, doing it differently. And I'm so glad that I listened to my intuition and that I reached out and did what I did, because it's changed the whole trajectory of my life.
Yeah, I can see that and see how far you've come. You're like a rock star now.
I am a rock star.
Wow. And talking about rock stars, really, there is so much of creativity in you. And being the energy architect, I want to understand how you're able to get all of this creativity out of you. Because I can understand 1 book, 2 books, 3 books, but you've done what, 26 books? And you're inspiring women to write every day. So what keeps you going?
Yeah,
So what's
and
your energy?
it's just it's and I think working with people gives me energy. Working with the women and the men in these books, inspires me and encourages me to keep going. We were talking earlier, and I said, I've been an artist, and I love painting. And I started, 12 years ago, when my daughter went away to college and I was home alone. And it was like, I got to do something. And so I started taking painting classes, and I started doing all these paintings. And then I would have my friends would see what I was doing, and they'd be like, can we come over and paint with you? And I was like, sure, bring me a bottle of wine, or bring some appetizers, come on over. And we'd sit outside on our deck, or we'd set up little snack trays in the living room here, and I'd show them what I was painting, and I follow, do this and do that. And they'd walk out with a painting, and they were like, oh wow, this was so much fun. And so I started doing that. It was just, something for fun. And then I started teaching at a local senior center. So I was teaching art classes. So one of my friends said, hey, my friend teaches art classes at her house, and her mother was in a nursing home. Can they're looking for activities to do with the seniors. Do you want to go in and paint? I was like, yeah, all right, sign me up. So I went in, I started doing that. So I've been doing, for the last 10, 12 years, I've been doing that and having that outlet, for my creativity, and just staring at a blank canvas and sitting here with my paints and a paintbrush and saying, okay, what is on this canvas? And then just creating it is, it is just fun. And I'll sit here. Sometimes I'll start at like 5, 6 o'clock at night, and I'll be painting, and I'll look up and it's 2 in the morning, and I've been painting for, 6, 7 hours. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go to sleep. I got to get up early tomorrow. So, but that's, it's, when you're a creative, or when you just love to create, and so getting that outside of yourself and creating things just becomes naturally, and so I just love doing that.
Amazing. Because you're in this state of flow, and that is what energy is all about. You are, and that's like the way you express yourself. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I wasn't always, like I said, I wasn't always like this. So it's learning how to get into flow. It's learning how to, because 3, 4 years ago, I was in a dark place. I would never even have imagined that I could be doing what I'm doing now. And so there is things that you can do to change, that, trusting your intuition, trusting that what needs to be done, stepping away from people who aren't supportive of you.
Yeah.
And just having fun with who you are, and discovering who you are, and having fun, with everything, and being who you were meant to be, finding that purpose, and going after it.
Sally, I know that you guys work at a neck-breaking pace. Y'all are always working. I don't know when you guys take a break, because y'all are constantly working. And I don't know how you guys get other stuff done. Not working. What's next for you? And I'm sure that a lot is happening. So what's next for you?
Well, we're working on, we have a few more books that we're working on. We're doing a live event. I'm going to be flying out to California in November, and Linda and I are putting on an author's impact event. It's going to be live in San Diego. And we'll see, as it unfolds. We're just embracing it. So it's whatever comes my way. I'm game for anything. I can't say what's coming up, because I couldn't have imagined this 4 years ago or 3 years ago. So I'm not even going to try to imagine what's going to happen 2 or 3 years from now. I'm just going to, just enjoy the ride, and just have some fun with it, and go with it, and see what happens, and just trust that God's got my back.
Yeah, just keep walking, and the path will reveal itself.
Exactly.
Is there a message that you would like to give out to people watching you and listening to you?
I would just say, what, just find what it is that makes you happy, and do it. Even if it scares you a little bit, just find your happy place, and just stay there.
Thank you so much, Sally.
You're welcome.
You are doing such an amazing job. I wouldn't call it job. It's like you guys are living a dream in that sense, to be impacting so many lives and encouraging women to, not just women, but men as well, to really go out of their comfort zone, and take them to their next level of who they should be, or they could be.
Yeah. There you go. Well, thank you for having me, and for interviewing me today. This has been fun.
Thank you for being here today. It's such an honor to have you. I don't know what's wrong with my light. Just hold on. It's the third time this has happened today. Yeah. So yeah, it's an absolute honor to have you. I am so glad that I could talk to you today, and I got to know you a little bit better. Thank you for being so approachable and so sincere in everything that you do. I really do appreciate all the help that I got while I was trying to pen my chapter. And I'm sure a lot of people feel that way about you. and Sally
No, thank
and Linda. But yeah, just like really grateful to you guys.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for being here today. And so I'm going to sign off now. Thank you, everybody. This is Nasira, the Energy Architect. Thank you, Sally, for being here today. Bye.